Hello there. I want to spend a little bit of time back on the subject of Gunology today, and I want to talk a little bit about what I'm going to call systems of carry. Last time we talked a little bit about concealed carry philosophy, and some of that will come into this video, but some of the things that I really want to discuss with you are things that I think should definitely be considered by those who are about to start carrying or those who might be thinking of changing their carry system. I will be the first to admit that I wind up going back to the same type of carry most all the time, maybe except for when I'm outdoors on the farm or walking in the woods, hiking, those kind of things. I may carry a little bit different. But the reason that I resort back to that same philosophy of carry, that same system of carry, is because it works. And I'm going to use the old adage here, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think sometimes we are highly influenced by the things going on in the gun community. We're often tempted by videos and reviews and articles that we see or read, and maybe even our friends sometimes influence us. And, you know, everything that you see or everything that looks the part or looks cool doesn't necessarily work in a real life situation. One of the things that we've often said when training concealed carry classes is, you know, you don't adjust your firearm carry to how you dress, but how you dress to how you carry your firearm. For some people, that's a big step. For some people, that's a big deal because they don't want to change the way they dress on a daily basis. Well, in those cases, if you're just not going to change, then you have to find a system that works with what you're doing. But for me, personally, it is important enough for me to carry a firearm on a daily basis for the protection of my family, for the protection of myself, that I am willing to change the way that I dress and the way that I carry myself in order to provide adequate support and concealment for my firearm. So I want to talk about a couple of different things, and I'll start out with just a full-size 9mm. This is pretty much a standard size for 9mm handguns. This is a big gun in a lot of people's eyes, especially in the world of mouse guns and pocket pistols. This is a good purchase on. This is a gun that you can become very accurate with, and I'm not discounting the fact that you can become accurate with these other firearms, but it's easier to be accurate with a full-size firearm like this. So if I could make things work so I could carry a full-size firearm, conceal it, have proper foundation for it, then that would make sense for me. Unfortunately, most of the time, we're going to downsize to at least a mid-size firearm just out of comfort. And comfort is a big deal. If you're going to carry a firearm all day, every day, there's going to be some discomfort at some point, whether it's the position you're in or if you're sitting down a lot, or even if your support system is not good. So I want to address that support system to begin with, and I'm not going to give you a brand or a particular style that you should do, but I'm just telling you this. Holsters and belts are a big part of your carry system. If you're carrying in your pocket, then in my opinion, and I'll go out on a limb and say it ought to be your opinion, that firearm does not need to be loose in your pocket. Even if you've designated a specific pocket for that firearm, it being loose is waiting for a negligent discharge or a problem of some type. Besides the fact that lint and those kind of things can get into the action of your gun and have caused firearms not to fire because of buildup over time, besides that, just keeping that trigger guard closed, and there are so many options out there. There's one company that even makes a trigger guard cover for pocket carry, and that's all it is. It covers the trigger guard. and it's actually a pretty neat system. But holsters mean a lot in the pocket. If you're carrying yours in the regular position, I'll call it, or the most natural position on the hip, you're going to need a good holster and a good belt. What is amazing to me, and I can't take claim for this particular statement, but I agree with it totally. In fact, a friend of mine is the one who first coined this to me. People will spend thousands of dollars on a firearm and go buy a $12 holster to put it in. And they wonder why they have issues. They wonder why the firearm is hard to carry and it's clunky. And what happens is they wind up not carrying it, and they put themselves in a position of danger because of that. A good holster and a good belt should supply two different things in every case. Number one is support. And what I mean by support, with the right belt and the right holster, the weight distribution is changed in such a way that a lot of times the gun kind of disappears from your mind. The way I carry on a daily basis, I often forget that I've even got a firearm on. And part of that is because I've become used to it being where it is, but a lot of it is the way I carry and the fact that I have a good belt that is Kydex lined. It's a belt that's attractive. It's not an ugly belt, but even if it had to be ugly to provide good support, that's what I would do. But this belt is a leather belt, the one that I wear on a daily basis, and it has a Kydex lining on the inside. And that just keeps it stiff and keeps it from bending to the point that it begins to sag. When it comes to your holster can provide support by the way it connects to your belt, to that good foundation that you've already put, but also retention being the second thing. And I'm not suggesting that all of your holsters should have 5 or 6 snaps and buttons on. In fact, I don't think that at all. What I do believe is that there should be some retention to the point that your gun's not going to fall out. And before you laugh, I have been in those cases. In fact, it wasn't too long back where I was in a building with some people, and there wasn't but about 4 or 5 people in the building at that time. The event we were waiting on to start had not started, and I found a firearm laying on the floor in the hallway, and it had literally fallen out of a guy's holster, if you want to call it a holster. It wasn't much of a holster. So preaching retention sometimes makes people think that they should have a triple retention holster like law enforcement carries. And you know, if you're carrying concealed, that's not necessarily what you want. You want something that is not going to need a whole lot of extra manipulation to present that firearm. But at the same time, you don't want it to fall out, and you want it to stay where it's supposed to stay and ride exactly where you put it. I'm going to address for just a moment the appendix carry community. I can't carry appendix for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm too fat. It doesn't work for me. I've tried it. It hurts. So that being the first. The second thing is, it's, to me, in my personal opinion, and I've got friends that carry appendix, and we've had this discussion, and no hard feelings at all. But when you sit down, that firearm is pointed at one of the worst places on your body. And I know it's in a holster, and I know that it's secure, but you've got to draw it sitting down. Just consider that. If you had to draw it from a sitting position, and because of the anxiety and because of the adrenaline in the situation, maybe you depressed that trigger earlier than you should, I would say the fight's over, because that is in fact, that's one of the areas we train people to utilize as a target in a confrontation, because it is so difficult to miss a major artery in that area. So that's just my 2 cents on that. If you're comfortable with it and it works for you, knock yourself out. I'm not gonna fuss at you. I just personally am not going to try that. So the last thing that I want to cover in this video, and these videos get away from us so quick, we cover so much time, I don't want it to be a 4-hour video. The last thing I want to talk to you about a little bit is weight. You know, I'm not, as I have said in the last video, I'm not a proponent of a certain brand of firearm. In fact, I'll go further and say I'm not even a proponent of a certain style. If you want to carry a revolver, I'll say the same thing I say about a semi-automatic. Get good with it, practice with it, train with it. Know what you're doing. Because, in my opinion, a revolver is much harder to become proficient with than a semi-automatic. But weight, to me, is a big deal because, you know, if you go out there and get a double-stack 1911, and they do make those, and you get a full-size double-stack 1911 for concealed carry, and you can conceal it. I know some people that carry them, and they conceal them every day. There comes a point in time where, regardless of what kind of system you got, that weight is going to matter. It's kind of like wearing a duty belt all day, every day. You know, towards the end of that day, regardless of how much support you have, sometimes you begin to notice the weight. So that is important, and that's a lot of the reason that you don't see people carrying the full-size metal framed guns like maybe some would like to, because, you know, they're easier to be accurate with in some cases, and the weight definitely helps with recoil control and those sorts of things. But weight is an issue for me. I'm not saying that if you want to carry a double barrel and a holster on your side and you can conceal that and it's legal to carry wherever you are, then you knock yourself out. I'm just simply saying these are some things that go into my thought process when I select a firearm. So at the end of the day, I have the opportunity to carry pretty much anything I want and have the supplies, the resources to make that comfortable, to make that concealable, to make that supported, to make that retention happen. And all of those things are available out there. We can get into discussion about leather and Kydex and all the different holsters and what they're made out of, and there's some very strong opinions on some of those things. I have some very strong opinions on those things, but I will say this: any of your equipment that you're going to use on a daily basis should be maintained. If you're not maintaining your equipment, you're waiting for something bad to happen. From your firearm down to your belt, it should matter to you. So we'll probably dig a little bit deeper into some specifics on another video, but I just wanted to come to you today and talk about, or at least start the platform of a carry system. And maybe next time we'll get into my carry system and how I carry, and maybe some options that I have if I want to change it up, and we'll see what you have. If you would like to put that in the comments, or anything that you do that you think would work or be beneficial to other people, then put that in the comments, and we may talk about that as well next time. Thanks for joining us again at Haden Farms, and I hope you have a very blessed day.